and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. We can see we have an audience from different parts of the world. A very warm welcome to the launch event of the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity, CEAC. We are very excited that you have taken the time out of your busy day to join us today. Thank you. My name is Mireia Paulo, Head of Management of the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity. It is my great pleasure to be the moderator for the first session of this webinar. During this session, we will be presenting the unique Jean Monnet Center of Excellence at Ruhr-Universität Bochum, which is co-founded by the European Commission. In the following hour, we have a very interesting session with 5 distinguished guests, who I will introduce shortly. You can expect each of them to talk for about 10 minutes. This session will finish in 1 hour at 10:30 Frankfurt time. After 10 minutes pause, we will continue to the second session with a very interesting roundtable with 7 eloquent scholars until 11:40. Before we get started, allow me to go through some housekeeping. If you wish to ask a question, please type them in the Q&A feature, including your name and affiliation. We'll address them after the session. Any questions we cannot answer, please feel free to write us an email. You should be able to see CEAC's email in the chat. Since this webinar is being recorded, you will receive a link to the recording in a few days. In case of technical issues, please reach out to our team via the chat function. Our colleagues will try to support you as much as possible. We have a fantastic team behind the scene today. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our first guest, Professor Dr. Günther Meschke, Vice-Rector for Research and Transfer Group.
Thank you, Mireia. Dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Rectorate of Ruhr-Universität Bochum, it's my great pleasure and honor to cordially welcome you to the launch event of the Jean Monnet Center for EU-Asia Connectivity. The workshop today constitutes the starting event to introduce this Center of Excellence to the international academic community, students, network partners, and the interested public. With its international perspective, this center perfectly fits into the internationalization strategy of the Ruhr-University, which is in fact one of the overarching strategic goals of the new rectorate installed in November 2021. We are already partners in the European University Alliance UNIC and have just recently strengthened our endeavor towards international integration of the Ruhr-University by participating now in the worldwide universities network, which is an alliance of 25 research-intensive universities. Ladies and gentlemen, being awarded the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity by the European Union is a further strong recognition of the international outreach and overall internationalization strategy of Ruhr-University. It's the first time that Jean Monnet Center of Excellence is being established at this university. On behalf of the Rectorate, I would like to congratulate Professor Bersick and Ms. Paulo and their team, supported by members of the International Office, to this success in a highly competitive process of application open to universities actually all over the world. My special thanks today go to Dr. José-Lorenzo Vallés, the head of the European Education and Culture Executive Agency, as the representative of the funding agency, the European Commission, and for participating today in this event, and of course for funding the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic and the planned activities in teaching and research of this center are of enormous relevance today, actually more than ever. While economic and academic exchange and the fostering of this exchange between the US, between Europe and the Asian region, including China, was one of the major pillars and foundations for economic growth in the recent decades, I would say, signs of isolation and independence are getting stronger in recent years. We all remember the America First ideology in the US during the Trump presidency, but also China seems to be aiming for stronger independency in strategic industrial areas such as IT technologies in recent years. And the war in the Ukraine fuels further the strive for independence of Europe in the technology and energy sector. What are the consequences of these developments on the academic exchange between Europe and Asia? The Association of German University Presidents is discussing possible restrictions in regards to cooperation with China, for example. Ladies and gentlemen, the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity is an excellent forum to address these challenges and also opportunities for the Europe's role in a changing global environment and to contribute, hopefully, to a more differentiated and a more strategic understanding of EU-Asia relations and the factors that may strengthen and possibly also inhibit connectivity. It's my I'm convinced that the spirit of international exchange always was and is an important ingredient, an indispensable ingredient, I would say, of successful academic institution. I hope that your activities in your community will contribute to this positive vision, despite the discouraging global boundary conditions we are currently facing. Ladies and gentlemen, let me close by wishing you all a successful kickoff workshop today and success in establishing this center as a hub for facilitating sustainable connections within and between Europe, Asia, and beyond through the research and education networks and communications. I wish you fruitful discussions and enjoy this starting and this kickoff event today. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Meschke, for the inspiring remarks. It was a pleasure to have you with us. And now allow me to welcome Professor Dr. Katja Schmidtpott, Dean of the Faculty of East Asian Studies at Ruhr. Professor Schmidtpott, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Dear Vice-Rector for Research and Transfer, Professor Meschke, dear Dr. Vallés, representative of the Erasmus Plus program of the EU Commission, dear members of the Academic Advisory Board, dear Ms. Schmid, who is representing the International Office of our university, dear panelists and everyone in the national and international audience, dear Sebastian, and dear Ms. Paulo. As the Dean of the Faculty of East Asian Studies, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to today's very happy event, the launch of the very first Jean Monnet Center of Excellence at our faculty and at our university, in fact, as we've just heard from the Vice-Rector. And this Center of Excellence is chaired, of course, by my esteemed colleague, Professor Sebastian Bersick. Congratulations on the successful acquisition of this highly competitive project, which allows our faculty to host a member of the very prestigious international Jean Monnet family. As not everyone might be familiar with our faculty, I would like to briefly introduce it to the audience. The Faculty of East Asian Studies at Ruhr-Universität Bochum is, in fact, one of the biggest institutions of East Asian studies in Germany. It comprises 9 professorships or chairs in the fields of Chinese studies, Korean studies, Japanese studies, and studies in international politics and economy of East Asia. I think it is fair to say that our study programs are highly attractive among students, as there are about 1,000 students currently enrolled in our faculty. One of the major points of our study programs is, of course, to teach the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages in order to enable students to critically engage with original source material from East Asia and to communicate with people in the region in their own respective languages. In terms of methodology, approaches from the fields of history, literature, philology, philosophy, political sciences, linguistics, and economics are being applied. Our East Asia Library is one of the biggest held by German universities, and it hosts several precious collections of national and international importance that attract scholars from overseas. The faculty has many active exchange programs for students and researchers with partner universities in China, Taiwan, Korea, and Japan, which also contributes to the overall internationalization strategy of our university. It should also be mentioned that our faculty is part of a research cooperation with the neighboring University of Duisburg, also located in the Ruhr district, to be more precise, with its Institute of East Asian Studies. Together, both institutes form a joint research alliance under the name of Area Ruhr, Alliance for Research on East Asia in the Ruhr district. Our joint research alliance is one of Europe's largest research and teaching hubs in the field of East Asian studies, with more than 20 professors, several dozens of researchers, and more than 1,600 students. It brings together a wide range of scholarly fields and disciplines, ranging from historical to contemporary research, from linguistics to economics, from religious studies to sociology and political science. We have been combining the expertise of both places in various fruitful ways, which has resulted, for instance, in joint research projects and a joint graduate school on transnational institution building and transnational identities in East Asia. With the launch of the new Jean Monnet Center for EU-Asia Connectivity, the development of the East Asian Studies community in the Ruhr district enters a new stage. It will certainly add a new bright color to the spectrum of East Asian studies. The center strives to enhance our understanding of EU-Asia relations. It will address a series of important topics in highly relevant policy areas such as digital transformation or trade relations. Also, geopolitical and geoeconomic strategies that impact international relations will be examined and discussed. The rise of China as a global political and economic player may result in fundamental changes in international power relations. This is a direct challenge to the EU, which has already sparked debates about its role in the global context of today. It seems that it is more important now than ever to engage in dialogue with Asia on such issues, which is one of the goals the new Jean Monnet Center of Excellence seeks to accomplish. And of course, the Faculty of East Asian Studies, with its rich environment of research and teaching, will support the various activities of the center as good as possible. Now, I wish you all the best for the work and for the entire project, which I'm sure will result in a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Schmidtpott, for your remarks and informative presentation. I would like to introduce our third speaker, Professor Dr. Sebastian Bersick, who is the Executive Director of CEAC, Monnet Chair, and Head of Department International Political Economy of East Asia, Faculty of East Asian Studies. Over to you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Mireia, for handing over to me, and many thanks indeed to Vice-Rector Meschke and Dean Schmidtpott, dear Katja, for participating in this event and your kind support of CEAC. So what is this all about? Why did we propose to the EU that there is need for a Jean Monnet Center of Excellence under the acronym of CEAC, that is the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity? Connectivity entered the broader Asia-Europe policy discourse in 2016 when it became a topic within the Asia-Europe meeting process. Already in 2010, the 10 Southeast Asian ASEAN countries had published a connectivity strategy that focuses on their mutual connectivity and the vision of a seamlessly and comprehensively connected and integrated ASEAN that will promote competitiveness, inclusiveness, and a greater sense of community. In September 2018, the EU launched its connectivity strategy towards Asia. According to the document, the EU is promoting an approach to connectivity that is sustainable, comprehensive, and rules-based. This means that connectivity has to be economically, fiscally, environmentally, and socially sustainable in the long run. Connectivity is about networks, the flow of people, goods, services, and capital, and that it is about internationally agreed practices, rules, conventions, and technical standards supported by international organizations and institutions, enabling interoperability of networks and trade across borders. With the launch of the EU-Asia Connectivity Strategy, connectivity continued to gradually evolve into a new buzzword encompassing an increasing number of policy fields, actors as well as institutions, and raising new questions about the relationship of power, geography, and norms in a globalized world economy. There is hardly any official declaration dealing with EU-Asia affairs nowadays that does not refer to connectivity. The EU has started to develop a new foreign policy instrument that is connectivity partnerships with like-minded partners in Asia, for instance, with Japan in 2019 and India in 2021. Partnerships with like-minded partners are crucial here. The topic of connectivity has also become part of an evolving EU-Asia agenda on United States of America agenda on Asia. And both actors have declared that there is a shared interest in improving connectivity by supporting partners in setting up regulatory environments that are conducive to sustainable connectivity, as well as through quality infrastructure development and projects consistent with the highest transparency, digital and green standards as part of their respective approaches to the Indo-Pacific region. The connectivity strategy is a crucial starting point to strengthen the EU's role in Asia and a relevant framework of action. And so is the new Global Gateway Initiative from December 2021. Yet, since its drafting and publication in late 2018, the world has changed quite dramatically, especially due to the advent of the Trump administration, SARS-CoV-2, an ever more assertive China, and since the 24th of February this year, the full-scale war in Ukraine. Research is required to examine the role of connectivity and the EU's connectivity strategy vis-à-vis Asia with regard to governance, priorities, partnerships, and the global scope of the strategy. In the present transitional phase of the international order, where the power of state actors is being reshaped because of new factors such as technological and digital innovations, non-traditional security threats like pandemics and climate change, as well as traditional security threats like wars of aggression. The EU is challenged to live up to its values and priorities and develop more agency, a stronger international role and strategies, capacities and policies for responsible global leadership. A research gap exists concerning the role of connectivity for the EU, and in particular with regard to the EU's multidimensional and multifaceted relations with Asia. There is an increasing policy relevance of connectivity with regard to both its instrumental dimension, for instance, in the area of infrastructure, and its strategic dimension, for instance, with regard to evolving regional power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific. So we established CEAC in order to contribute to the research on EU studies and connectivity as a new phenomenon in global and especially EU-Asia affairs and its implications for EU foreign policy making in a globalized world. With this aim, CEAC strives to contribute to critical academic analysis and a differentiated and more strategic understanding of EU-Asia relations and the factors that strengthen and inhibit connectivity. CEAC seeks to facilitate cooperation between relevant stakeholders at the local, domestic, regional, and global levels of governance, raise awareness and visibility of the European integration project and the values and objectives that the EU stands for, and to contribute to the EU's public diplomacy outreach vis-à-vis Asia, as well as the EU's quest for responsible global leadership. The Center, CEAC, consists of a management board, an academic advisory board, and I'm very happy that all 6 members from Europe and Asia are participating in the event today, as well as network partners and a research team. And I want to particularly mention the Alliance on Research on East Asia, Area Ruhr, the European Alliance, University Alliance of Post-Industrial Cities, UNIC, the Jean Monnet family, and the European Asian Research Network on Strategies for Promoting Europe-Asia Connectivity, SPEAK. The research team consists of senior researchers, PhD candidates, affiliate researchers, and visiting scholars, all in all, currently 17 researchers from Europe, as well as from, for instance, China, Vietnam, and South Korea. As I already pointed out, CEAC aims at providing greater visibility to EU studies and connectivity as a new phenomenon in global and especially EU-Asia relations and its implications for EU foreign policy making in a globalized world. With this aim, it contributes to critical academic research and facilitates cooperation between relevant stakeholders. Hence, the project comprises 4 pillars which define the scope of its activities. Pillar 1, the academic research will be implemented by the senior and junior researchers at the center with the support of the Academic Advisory Board and the coordination of the Management Board. Pillar 2 covers the teaching element, which follows up on the previous and existing Jean Monnet chairs at the Faculty of East Asian Studies here at RUB. Pillar 3 deals with building partnerships and networks and will be conducted by the Management Board and the support of the Academic Advisory Board. And finally, Pillar 4 is about digital dissemination and communication and will be planned, implemented, and monitored by the Management Board in collaboration with all centers, researchers, and the Academic Advisory Board. Pillar 4 will share the knowledge generated, it will disseminate results, raise awareness of the partnerships and networks, and overall about EU studies and EU-Asia connectivity related topics, reaching all target groups as beneficiaries of this project at the local, national, regional, and international levels. So which activities are we planning in the coming 3 years? We will establish a student exchange program between universities in Europe and Asia, an internship program, a junior researchers award program, a multi-stakeholder conference dealing with pertinent issues and issue areas of connectivity-related policymaking, such as global and regional governance and regulatory frameworks, connectivity strategy priorities and their revision, comparison of connectivity partnerships, financing mechanisms, cyber diplomacy, technological sovereignty, fintech, energy, sustainability and climate change, data strategy, and trade policy. There will also be research publications, a volume collecting research findings presented at the multi-stakeholder conference, a CEAC policy brief series, as well as joint publications from CEAC research members, partners, and visiting scholars. And we will enhance people-to-people exchanges, that is, researcher exchanges, for instance, in the form of visiting scholars. With regard to the student exchange program between universities from Europe and Asia, the center aims at connecting RUP and area Ruhr-aligned students with Asian partner universities, as well as engaging members of the European University Alliance, UNIC and SPEAK. Thereby, the institutional outreach of the center amongst EU member states will be increased and transnational research will be facilitated. At the same time, the internship program provides trainee opportunities for students in the industry and public administration sectors. Both programs aim to fill a gap between the academia and the private public sectors by offering the opportunity for the young generation to acquire practical work experience, enhance intercultural knowledge and practices, promote new venues for research and cooperation between the academia and the private sector, and to even increase future career and job opportunities for talented students. In this regard, it is one of the center's foremost priorities to support students and to recruit young researchers with high potential. The center, as a European Asian hub, intends to leverage connections at different levels and regions. And now, before handing over to Dr. Vallés, and since this event is about the public launch of CEAC, it is my greatest pleasure to do exactly this. Hereby bear the launch of CEAC.
Thank you very much, Professor Bersick, for giving such an informative and comprehensive presentation of CEAC. It was very useful, I'm sure, for the audience to understand what is all CEAC about. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our next guest, Dr. José-Lorenzo Vallés, Head of Unit at DG European Education and Culture Executive Agency, European Commission. Dr. Vallés, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. A big hello to everybody. It's a real pleasure for me to join your event on behalf of the European Commission and of the European Executive Agency for Education and Culture. I would like to share with you some information on the Monnet actions. The Monnet actions have been active for a little bit more than 30 years, and they have been increasing in their prestige. The objective is to promote excellence in teaching and research on the European integration process throughout the world and across all disciplines. They started just after the fall of the Berlin Wall, to promote that in the European universities, there would be specific studies devoted to the European integration. About a decade later, it was found important that the actions would not be only devoted to supporting European universities, and then they extended the action of the program to the rest of the world. And in the current multi-annual program, Erasmus Plus, they are continuing their activity also with new features and with an expansion to the other sectors beyond higher education. As a result of the action of the Monnet support, we have proudly built a very important worldwide network, which has activities in over 90 countries. And every year we support about 1,000 universities, where 1,700 professors contribute to our activities, and they have benefits for over 265,000 students. Since the beginning of the Monnet program, more than 6,000 projects have been funded. In the current 7-year period under Erasmus Plus, as I had just mentioned, the activities were extended beyond higher education to other fields of education and trade. In the first year, which was the fall of 2021, there were 2 new activities opened for teacher training and network for schools and vocational education providers. And in the fall of 2022, which we are now evaluating, there was a further extension to EU learning initiatives by which schools can get support for EU study activities in the school itself. What is the scope of EU studies? For us, it is the study of Europe in its entirety, but with a particular emphasis on the EU dimension. It is very important that we support activities that enhance the awareness of the European Union, and since these activities take place both within the member states and Erasmus program countries, and also everywhere else in the world, the main ideas are to study and research about the EU policies and EU values, to make more awareness about the role of the EU in a globalized world, facilitating engagement and people-to-people dialogue, and then also, as it was mentioned earlier, the support of public diplomacy in the world promoting EU values. So all this together, the scope may vary. It can be more towards economic matters or legal matters or multidisciplinary approach, but we would like to make sure that the EU dimension. Regarding the activities in the higher education institutions, the scale of instruments going towards more ambition and a higher financial support starts with modules where there's a minimum of 40-15 hours. It goes then to chair, where a specific professor has to teach a minimum of 90 teaching hours as a minimum. And then it reaches the most ambitious instrument, which is the Centers of Excellence. For us, a Center of Excellence has to be a focal point of competence and knowledge on European Union matters. They have to gather high-level experts. They have to develop synergies between disciplines and also joint transnational activities. And we expect that they are also going to be a focus for wide outreach to students from other faculties, to policymakers, civil servants, and the society as a whole. And just to give a little bit of information about how was the call of 2021, we received more than 800 proposals. 281 were selected, and out of those 281, 31 were for centers of excellence, which was 11% of the selected proposals. It seems in the graphic that centers of excellence are, let's say, a minor instrument compared to module, for example, but this is on the basis of the number of proposals selected. If we go to a similar graphic on the basis of money awarded, then of course centers of excellence get to a more balanced relation with respect to the module. And I would like to mention that of the 31 centers of excellence that were selected in 2021, only one was selected in Germany, and that's the one in Bochum. So congratulations for a big success in a very competitive evaluation. And then to finalize, I would like to show a slide about our activities in what we call Region 5, which covers East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. And you can see that in the last 7-year period, we had more than 130 projects supported in that region. The main countries with regard to the proposals selected are China, India, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. But you can see that there were activities in many other countries. So we think that it is very important to support the knowledge and the research about the European Union matters in East Asia, South and Southeast Asia. And we welcome very much proposals like the one in your Center of Excellence of connectivity between European countries and Asian countries. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a big success with your Center of Excellence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vallés, for sharing your insights on Jean Monnet actions in Erasmus+. Very useful information and data has been shared. We are very glad you could be here today with all of us and share this information. And last but not least, I'm glad to welcome Ms. Jutta Schmid, Deputy Director, Erasmus Institutional Coordinator from the International Office at Ruhr. Mrs. Schmid, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mireia. Thank you. Dear participants, dear Dr. Vallés, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's great to hear that apparently it's the only Center of Excellence in the Jean Monnet funding line this time in Germany. I didn't know that. So I'm the last one today to give a little welcoming address, and there's not much to add to all what we already heard, but I would, however, just like to make some short remarks. It's been a pleasure for me and my colleagues in the International Office and in the University Administration to support Professor Bersick's and Mireia Paulo's work with the application for the Center of Excellence. And it's an even greater joy today to see that the work has been successful and that the center will start to work. We are very happy to have this very special Center of Excellence here. Special because looking at the Jean Monnet projects of German universities from 2007 to 2020, I found out that it's the only one with the focus on Asia in the title. From the International Political Economics of EU-Asia Affairs, the title of the Jean Monnet Chair in 2016, to Connecting Europe and Asia, People, Power and Policies in 2020, we are now starting the Center of Excellence EU-Asia Connectivity. And as Professor Bersick just pointed out, I think it's crucial for the development of solutions for our current and future challenges to have the EU and Asian countries work together more closely. To this end, we have to have more research to understand and explain what is going on to each other. We need more experts, people in the academia, students and researchers to communicate their knowledge in order to enable the people in power to make better decisions, hopefully. And Erasmus is very important in this now. I'm happy to see that Erasmus funding makes some of this work possible. Erasmus has been, since its start in 1987, the most important scheme for the inter-European mobility at this university and at many universities in Europe. A lot has happened during the last 20 years. I've been personally working with Erasmus. Numbers have increased dramatically. The program lines have become more diverse and more complex. And last but not least, during the last 7 years, Erasmus has been more and more opening up for exchanges and cooperation with countries outside Europe, and not even in the European neighborhood anymore. We were therefore finally able to give Erasmus grants also to students and staff for mobility to and from our Asian partners. At the same time, the interest for studying and doing internships in Asia has grown impressively in our university, leading to a strategic increase in partnerships and exchange places, mostly in China, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. I was very glad to hear from Professor Bersick that the Center of Excellence is also aiming at supporting this exchange. During all these years, the most fundamental motivation for us in the international office has remained the same: to make international experience and exposure a reality. Sorry for this noise now. There's never a telephone call, but just now. Okay, this positive development of the mobility to and from Asia came to an abrupt stop with the outbreak of COVID-19 more than 2 years ago. Since then, there has been nearly no physical exchange possible for students and staff alike between Europe and Asia. Digital options were developed but could not replace the real thing. This interruption was very sad for all our students and researchers and the researchers and students from our partners who had planned their visits already and projects which they could not realize. And it happened at a moment in time when developing mutual understanding further between Europe and Asia was so important. But there's hope, at least for the mobilities to be reactivated now. This semester, our first students leave for Japan and other countries in the region again, and we hope that we will see more exchange students from East Asia here in Bochum again very soon. We would like to see the new Center of Excellence at RUB contribute to raise even more interest among our students and staff for study and research in Asia. And as you pointed out, Professor Bersick, this will be one of your aims too. I'm very happy to hear that. When reading about Jean Monnet's life, I found an interesting detail which shows how perfectly well the topic EU-Asia connectivity is placed in this EU funding scheme. Jean Monnet himself spent nearly 3 years in China. You might know that he was invited in November 1932 by the Chinese Minister of Finance to act as chairman of an East-West non-political committee for the development of the Chinese economy. Jean Monnet was considered then among the most connected persons of his time. The opening of this Center of Excellence now is happening in obviously difficult times for international relations. I trust that it will contribute to understanding each other better, creating and strengthening links between the EU and Asia, something Jean Monnet would sure have very strongly supported. So I would like to express my best wishes for the work of our new Center of Excellence. May it help to generate more connected persons in the best sense of this word. All the best for your work starting today, and thank you for having me here. All the best.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Schmid, for your informative presentation and your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, may I thank you all for your participation in this first session of the launch of the Center for EU-Asia Connectivity. And of course, thank you all our guests. We have been keeping time very much punctual. So I would like to inform you that we will have a short refreshment for 10 minutes. From this time, we will continue with the second session. The second session, we have a very inspiring roundtable with all 6 members of CEAC Academic Advisory Board. We will discuss on the topic of EU-Asia connectivity, governance, partnerships, and priorities. During this roundtable, Professor Bersick will be the presenter and also the moderator. Before we go to the break, allow me to point out 3 things. The webinar will not be closed. You don't need to leave the webinar. The second session takes place in this room. And so we will be here when you return. Although we will have cameras and micros switch off, if you have any question, please feel free to ask via the Q&A to our team, and we will try to respond to you. If you want to know more about CEAC, please feel free to drop us an email. You might see also in the chat that the website is launched. However, because the center is recently established, so the website is still under construction, but at least hopefully 1 month it will be launched, but you can have the main details or contact details there. Again, thank you all for your time. And also I really would like to thank to all our team of colleagues that are supporting behind the scenes. And without every single of them, this event will not be possible. So with this, I would like to conclude this first session. We hope you enjoyed the preliminaries, but hopefully you will enjoy the remainder of the event. So see you all in the second session. Thank you very much.